This is definitely a church you want to look up. Frauenkirch. It's huge in the front. It's one of those they can hardly even take a picture of it. And even when you do images, it's always kind of some warped, like, here it is sort of, and there it is sort of. It's not something you can just stand right in front of and take a picture of. Massive. But it's really cool inside. This is not going to be like your Baroque Catholic churches, which you're going to see on the next slide. The Baroque Catholic churches are very, very ornamented. Lots of gold, lots of curlicues, little cherub baby angels everywhere. This is more what the northern churches did when they became Lutheran. So after the Protestant Reformation, a lot of the churches went to a very, very stark, simple, light woods like pine, white walls, no big paintings, no frescoes, no ornamentation. And of course, that was their version of, we are going to be so different from the Catholic Church at all costs. Whatever it takes, you're going to walk in this room and know this is not a Gothic cathedral. So, but this is a really fun one. This is actually a tile in the floor when you walk into the foyer. There's this funky tile right there with this footprint like down inside the tile. So the legend says that the architect ran out of money, made a deal with the devil to get money to finish his cathedral, and the devil says, I'll give you the money to finish if you will put no windows in this. I don't want the people to come in here to see any windows. And so from the outside, there's just windows everywhere. So the devil comes in and says, what's the deal? Looks up, and this guy positioned the columns perfectly that from the place where you walk into the church, you cannot see one window. So supposedly the devil got really mad, turned around, stomped his foot, and left, because he outsmarted him. So that is a really fascinating thing. And the other thing you guys are going to want to remind me to do, because Rebecca and I are constantly going to be 3 steps down the road from wherever we are at any given moment. When you guys see something that's really cool for the group to see, unless the bus driver's honking the horn, and if we have any time at all, somebody happened to walk all the way to the front of the church and look up into the dome, and there's this all-seeing eye thing. And they're fascinating. They're up inside the dome, they're right up underneath the altars. You have to really go looking for them. You don't see them. They're not out for people to just see. But it is kind of weird because the all-seeing eye is kind of a leftover thing from the Greeks, but it is supposed to be, God kind of watching us kind of deal. But that's really cool one we just kind of accidentally found. I'm going to be giving you guys information on each time period that's relevant to wherever we are. So when we're in Germany and Austria, primarily the time period that's going to really jump at us and what we're going to see evidence of is the Baroque period. So I'm going to be emailing information out to you about the Baroque period, about the Renaissance when we're in Italy, those kinds of things. So this the Baroque period did not start in Germany, but it is basically, once it got itself going, it was basically a Germanic thing. It came right after the Renaissance period when Martin Luther and others broke away from the Catholic Church, basically to corruption issues with the church. I can write more of this out when I send it to you guys. As the Protestant Reformation worked its way up through Europe, they wanted Protestant churches to be totally different from the dark, scary Catholic churches of the Middle Ages. Baroque was a very emotional time. All of the structures, all of the sculptures, the paintings, where you would see, like Michelangelo's David, he's kind of just standing with the sling thinking about what he's about to do. Very calm, very composed. The other Davids are after the fact, and they've got their foot up on his head, standing there with a knife, very calm. The one that's from the Baroque period by Bernini, the guy is standing there with the rock like this, ready to throw it, and like the veins in his neck are sticking out. And it's a very emotional time, and they really, really liked movement and tension. And that's why they brought back the fountains from the Roman period. There have been no fountains anywhere since the fall of Rome. But these guys were like, if we use water, that could be like an artistic medium, and we can shape it, and it can be really cool as an art medium. So the Baroque is always really emotional, very exciting, lots of tension, lots of movement, and we'll see that in everything that is Baroque. This will probably be the first church we will stand around and sing in. That is a Baroque cathedral right there. full on. But this is an interesting one if you want to write this name down, Asankirk. This was built by a particular family of brothers for the family, and then it turned out so amazing that the people who lived around them begged them to please open the church so that everyone else could enjoy it, and so it became a regular church for others to enjoy. I have no idea where that family got that money, but it's pretty amazing. After we leave Munich on our way to Venice, we'll be stopping at Dachau. It is one of the German concentration camps. This Arbeit macht frei means work will set you free. Work makes you free. And it was written on the original gate. Dachau is really pretty cleaned up. Like, I had gone to Auschwitz in '85 when it was still behind the Iron Curtain. That was devastating. I mean, there was like blood everywhere, but I mean, it was devastating. This was very neat, and a lot of the things have been taken out, and there's like a placard telling you what devastating thing used to be there, instead of you actually having to see like the torture things and all that. It's pretty cleaned up. But it's still, it's stark and it's amazing, and it is life-changing. These are what the crematorium ovens look like, and it's awful. This is a beautiful sculpture. It's made from the fencing materials, the original fencing materials, and it's distorted, very thin, tortured human beings, and it's right out front as we go in. After we leave Dachau on our way still to Venice, we will go through a little town, Innsbruck, Austria, and it is delightful. Look it up. You might find a building we have time. Innsbruck is very small, so it's one of those places we can say, right here in the middle is where we're gonna meet in an hour and a half. There's little cafes all around here. You guys just do a little bit of shopping, have some lunch, and every now and then, when it's very closed in and very compact and very safe, we like to give you guys as much elbow room as we can when those times are available. Not going to happen in Rome or Paris, so just get over it. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if you're around a corner and I can't see you, I'm going to be nervous. But in this town, it's very easygoing and very, very pretty. The buildings are all painted. They're all super ornamented. It looks like something, if you've ever seen anything with Marie Antoinette kind of time period. All these little dainty, beautiful things. This is kind of funny. The gardens, Europeans love their gardens. So whenever you get a chance to walk through one, go in and see what's in there, because they do funky things like this in their gardens. But we do get to have a really nice leisurely lunchtime there. We had plenty of time to kind of shop around and relax. That was really nice. This is in Innsbruck. We got to sing in this church. It was amazing. But this is more of a typical Baroque church, not the Asankirk. This is what you're going to see. Very white walls, again, getting away from the dark, dark walls of the Gothic cathedral. They wanted things to be much lighter and much more appealing. So they would whitewash their walls first, and then they would bring in these pretty, like, mauve-colored marble. They'd still have beautiful frescoes painted on the ceilings and all around, but lots and lots of gold. Gold and black. Lots of gold. And gold. Like, not something that looks gold. Like, things that are actually gold leaf and gold. Amazing. Lots of mauves or reds. And we'll get to sing in that church. That time, that was the first church we got to sing in. St. Jacob's in Innsbruck. During the time, the Baroque period is the time of Bach and Handel, who wrote the Messiah. It's that same time period. So each of these churches that was built during the Baroque period is going to be very, very proud of their organ. Okay, you're going to see amazing organs, pipes of pipe organs and stuff. Sometimes if I ask the docent if somebody's there to play the organ, a lot of times they are. They're just hanging out in an office somewhere, and they'll come out and actually play for us, and that's really amazing. Oh, just some friendly faces that we know. It's interesting. All four of these people are going again. How weird. I didn't even think of that when I picked them. I just knew they were people you guys knew. Okay. When we get to Venice, the best news of this whole trip for me, and believe me, if it changes for some reason, you're going to see me sitting staring at a floor, not happy at all. Because this is one of the first things I asked for. In Venice, when we took this tour in '08, we were in the middle of, I don't even know, like some industrialized area, and that hotel was the only thing that wasn't a factory. It was horrible. And then it was raining and we couldn't go out and even get a gelato. I mean, what the heck, you're in Venice, can't even go get a gelato? No, not good. So we are actually going to be able to stay on a little island. Lido di Jesolo starts with a J. And we stayed on this island years ago, like in '03 or something, maybe '05. And it's just this little island that's a long, skinny little strip of land. And there's one street that goes up the middle of it, and on either side are all the hotels and shops. So when you walk out the back door of your hotel, you're on the beach. And it's just right there, and it's amazing. And then at night, they close the street down to any kind of traffic, and it just becomes a big street fair. And that's another place that's very, very safe. You guys will just be able to walk around and shop and have a coffee and watch the performers. It's a really, really nice evening. And then we water taxi into the city the next day on that. Okay, so if you want to look up this island, Lido di Jesolo. And then we take the water taxi into Venice in the morning. Now, this is what's hilarious. We get to Venice, we do the gondola, we're walking around, and my oldest son says to me, you know, I used to look at those pictures of Venice and think, these photographers are amazing. How do they get these shots? He goes, what the heck? You hold the camera over your head and push the button. Like, there's no way to get a bad shot. Everything looks like this. It absolutely does. It's just an amazing, amazing place. But you don't get a lot of information. The gondoliers don't even talk, let alone sing. So we sing on the gondolas. It's really fun for me. I just kick back and I hear my kids like all over Venice singing. And they don't really tell you much either. So anything that you want to look up about the water level, how it got the way it is, any history that you want to find on Venice, that would be great. You can bring it to the group. That's what le gondole look like.
There's a wonderful book called The City of Fallen Angels by John Perret. It's all about Venice.
Really?
People in America who have gone there, the expatriates and whatnot. Talks about the water levels.
Wow.
It's excellent during this time.
Yeah, just write that down, because I'm going to be throwing out all that kind of information. Some people, you know, read a book in a day, and for them it'll be fantastic.
There's a super cool article by National Geographic about how all foundations are eroding. But they include all of the history of the city and kind of what they're doing now to struggle with it, to tie it to current events and stuff.
Can you link me?
Yeah, I'll look for it.
When you're going by on the gondola, like here's a door, and nobody can come out because they just fall in the water. So, I mean, you can see the steps that used to come out their doors and where the sidewalks were, and it's all underwater now. It's really wild. This is right outside the back door of our hotel when we stayed before. So it's pretty exciting. This is St. Mark's, Basilica of St. Mark's. This is what you always see when you think of Venice. You either see a gondola or you see this cathedral. It is an amazing place. It is absolutely beautiful. I hope the sun is out because these things up here have tons of gold in them and it just shimmers like you can't even imagine. And the whole thing about the birds, they are everywhere. They're everywhere. The challenge is to keep them out of your hair. Again, here this is. There are lots of places where we're going to go. There are frescoes, and does anybody know what a fresco is? Okay, Scott.
It's when you paint in the wet plaster. So.
And why do you know that, Scott?
I wonder if maybe music history.
I forgot I was actually going to have a music history kid on this tour. I usually have 3 or 4 from that class, and I don't have any this time. It's kind of sad because they're the ones that are actually totally ready. But fresco is, and it means fresh, and the painters of the Renaissance period thought, you know, why if we mix the paint with the plaster and it dries, the painting dries with the plaster, certainly it'll last forever. And what they did